are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back, baby. Let's go. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. And once again, it is the Barnes and Tony show. Tony, how are you? I kind of mixed it up there on you. I think you didn't see it coming.
Yeah, no. I'm doing great, dude. I don't think I'm as happy as you to be here, dude. Oh my gosh, dude. What an intro. What an intro.
I don't know if I've ever come back from a couple days off with more to talk about. I honestly, no exaggeration, Tony, I think if we wanted to, we could have a 5-hour show today. I'm not kidding.
We got nothing else on the slate today. It could be just me and you, bud.
Oh, man. But it is great to be back, and I'm just so excited to catch up with everything with you. And what a week that this week is with opening day on Thursday. The best time of the year, baseball being back. You really can't beat that. And I think we just have to start there. I know, March Madness and stuff, but I want to start in the world of Major League Baseball.
2-2, he got him swinging. A back-to-back strikeouts for Robbie Ray.
There's damage right there. Shohei, way, sayonara. Where did that land?
Smoke to Chapman, who leaps up and grabs it.
Story spins and fires. Out at first.
There it goes. See ya. Home run, Aaron Judge.
All right. So what a weekend it was. And obviously, spring training going on. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tony, pretty much spring training's over. There's just a couple exhibition games before we start on Thursday.
Yeah.
So pretty much, roster decisions announced. And I have to say, I am the most surprised and most proud of the Yankees organization, the front office and how possibly more than I've ever been, other than, of course, the Judge contract, re-signing in the offseason. We know, how important that was. But yesterday, the Yankees finally make the move, announcing Anthony Volpe, the 21-year-old number 5 overall prospect in the major leagues, has made the opening day roster and will be the opening day shortstop. And this is something that me and you and Matt and all the other baseball Yankee fans out there have talked about for a while now. And honestly, as much momentum as we had moving forward towards this, I think all of us were so nervous, and you just felt, service time manipulation and, IKF and all that stuff. And, there was a lot of momentum when the spring started that Peraza would be the shortstop, over Volpe. He only had 30 games, in AAA. But the Yankees, were so impressed with Anthony Volpe. They name him the starting shortstop, and he will be the youngest starting shortstop franchise history. It's just so exciting. It's so refreshing. And you love to see, guys that you drafted, he was a first-round pick in 2019, make the opening day roster. And for once in his life, Brian Cashman nails it right on the head. And I have to go to you here, Tony. Were you kind of shocked that they finally made a right move here with the prospects?
Yeah, definitely a little shocked, pleasantly shocked, obviously. I mean, you look at someone like Volpe, you mentioned, how he's going to be like, the youngest starting shortstop for the Yankees here. I think, he has such a tremendous story. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's from New Jersey.
I was just going to say, yeah, New Jersey kid.
New Jersey kid, obviously grew up the Yankees, baseball, literally in the area. It's another just example of, this guy, having a dream of playing for the Yankees, showing that he's working hard for that dream, doing everything right realistically in spring training. He had a great spring training. You mentioned highly touted prospect. I think it's so poetic that he finally is able to get the opening day roster. And I mean, we joke, we make gripes, the IKF, or the stupid decisions the Yankees have made with the youth in the past and their prospects. But in reality, I mean, I think that this is the right move to do. Like, there is no other move that you could maybe make it. Oh, well, maybe Volpe. No, dude, like, no one else is really gonna, I think, be as good as Volpe. During opening day, and for someone who certainly wants to position as well, I haven't seen anyone else show that, hey, I want this more than Volpe or anything like that. So great move here by the Yankees organization. You can tell when when Boone kind of made the little announcement, Volpe, I mean, dude, the guy's heart must have been in his throat, like, you can see the emotion on his face, and I'm sure he's going to show up big time opening day, dude. He's going to have a good game. I can feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of opening day, I will be in attendance. So I am very excited about that. Very excited to get back to my vlog series on Yankee games. I mean, what would you say? I mean, I want to say I had at least 10 of them last year.
Was it really that many?
Probably. I mean, I know I went to 10 games.
Yeah. So sounds about right.
So really,
are you going to have the Volpe jersey ready to go for opening day?
I don't know if I'll be able to get it that quickly, Tony, but I'm getting it. Let's just say that.
Come on, just go to Dick's right now. Go to Dick's right after
I
this.
will. If I found out somewhere that, it's on the rack in the store, I'm there. If I have to buy it from the team store, I'm there. But I am just so excited. And this is just why we love baseball. Stories like this. And it really came at a good time, and I'll get to that in a second. But I would like to, we have a bunch of comments. I'd like to update everybody on those before we continue on here.
Yes. Donna Barnaby says, "Hi, Brian. Welcome back. I'm sure she missed you sorely, dude."
A little bit of a stumble there, Tony. But Mom, always appreciate you tuning in. She's so excited to see the show every day. So that's what it's all about. Dude. We really appreciate it, Mom.
Yeah. Matthew as well says, "Welcome back, brother." Says, "You look marvelous in the pinstripes." He's hyped for baseball. Can't believe it about Volpe. He says, "So out of character, but so necessary." Volpe feels Jeter-esque. I do agree with that.
100%.
IKF,
get out of here.
He also says that he's convinced it was Judge's words that did it. Obviously, he said he balled out, but Judge giving the blessing. There you go, dude.
100%.
And Michael says Brian is happy about Volpe.
Is he happy about Volpe?
I'm sure. You know how Brian, how Michael feels about young players getting their chances. So I'm sure he is pretty excited for it.
Oh, no. I just meant the spelling. I was just messing around with Mike, but I know he's pumped up. He loves the Yankees. So, no, of course, Michael. Right on the head.
Yeah.
The video was great. I know Tony saw it. He liked it.
Deep down. Hype. It is. Hype. Yes. And then Chris Ortega checking in here says, "Send the link to the opening day vlog when you upload it." Wow. People are waiting.
Let's go.
In the wings to see Brian opening day.
Breaking the internet. I swear to God, Tony, it's like just a lightning rod. The Yankees. I mean, we've talked about this so long. And it's like, it's almost like we today marks the end of a winter hibernation, Tony. Because, we've talked baseball, in the offseason and stuff, but it just feels like today it is here. And that's what's just so exciting. And I absolutely can't wait. So definitely going to have some good stuff coming everyone's way, on Thursday. But I did mention that, it was great that announcement was yesterday, because unfortunately, over the weekend, once again, the pitching does take another hit here. So now 3 of the 5, projected starting pitchers are now on the injured list. I know not officially, but they will be in terms of, Rodon, Montas, and then over the weekend, who other than Luis Severino, another lat strain, something that he missed time with last year. Had struggled in the spring, so there were murmurs that something was going on. I think they said they were going to shut him down for a week and then kind of make a determination from there. And listen, I appreciate what he's contributed since he came up. He was electric in the beginning, and who will forget that 2019 season? Last year was pretty good. But I did say, in the offseason that I thought that was the time, to move him, just from the fact the injuries and, he really has not performed well in the postseason. And I know it's tough. You have a guy who came up in your organization. There's always going to be a sense of loyalty. But just starting the year like that. And also, I know we talked about this too. There was rumors, that he wants a big extension. Let me tell you, Tony, I mean, Luis Severino is not getting a big extension. And I would pretty confidently say, barring that, he misses a lot of time or this ends up being minor and then he ends up performing in the postseason, I would pretty much bet anything that this is going to be Luis Severino's last year as a Yankee. But I hope that this ends up being not too bad, and I hope he performs. But just it was those combination of the postseason struggles and then constant injuries. I mean, how many times do you need to see it? Luckily the Yankees do have reinforcements in place. Clark Schmidt had a great spring. Pitched a lot of the bullpen last year. But did make a couple starts and he's looked good in the spring. So he's actually going to start the second game of the season. Obviously, Cole opening day. Schmidt game 2, Nestor game 3, Domingo Germán game 4. And then I'm actually excited. And he actually pitched the spring finale yesterday. Brito, I think he's 25 years old. Had a perfect, I think it was 5 1/3, struck out the first 3 batters. I think he throws around 95 miles an hour, been in the minor league since 2017. So, that opens up an opportunity. And, you went into last season and you said, oh, that rotation is battered. They're really going to struggle pitching. And actually, the first couple months they had the best ERA in baseball. So I think that it's easy to overreact and say that, the injuries to those 3 starters are going to be massive. But I think the one thing you have to keep in mind is, and obviously, they'll be careful, Skip, as me and Matt would joke around with Rodon, because he's obviously important. But it seems like, maybe he'll miss the first month. If that's what it is, whatever. Montas, we're not really expecting to pitch this season. But Germán started a lot of games. Schmidt was your first round draft pick, I think going back to 2017, if I'm not mistaken, out of South Carolina. So, those are guys that are ready for the opportunity. They're going to step up. You also have other options like Devi Garcia, who actually did have a good spring. But I believe it was like a week or 2 ago, was reassigned to the minor league camp. So he's always an option. So options are there. And, injuries suck, but they also do brew opportunities. And I am excited to see what Brito can bring. And I also do think this is a big year for Clark Schmidt and Domingo Germán, because it's kind of like you're either going to show it this year or you're done. And then, of course, we know, the Yankees have one of the better farm systems in Major League Baseball. Right. So, if they need to make a move at some point, they will. So that's the way, that you have to look at it. And the Yankees did also announce that DJ LeMahieu was going to be the opening day leadoff hitter. Okay. And there was questions, he might need to have surgery. He was dealing with a bone bruise much of the last couple of years, really been injured, has had an outstanding spring. Seems like he's ready to go. So you love to see that. I mean, you think back to when the Yankees have been at their best. It's DJ LeMahieu at the top of the lineup, setting the tone. Yeah. So this is going to be a huge year for him. And Glaber had a pretty good spring. It looks like, with Peraza being optioned to AAA Scranton, he's going to be the starting second baseman. And nice. Let's see what happens. Obviously I've been an advocate of a trade, but also, I mean, listen, if he performs, that's the whole thing. The past, it's all about what you're doing for us right now. So if he performs, great. If not, I'm sure they'll figure out a way one way or another to get him out of there. So, there's definitely some, Bader obviously will start on the injured list as well. But once again, it opens up an opportunity. And I believe what they're thinking is actually to start Stanton in right field, which I like, go with Judge in center and then Oswaldo Cabrera in left. And I really do believe that Stanton, is better off in the field. It keeps him engaged and for whatever reason, it keeps him healthier. So I think, that opens up an opportunity. I'm excited to see what Oswaldo Cabrera does. Seems like Trevino, he was banged up a little bit, but he'll be healthy. So you're just thinking about all the aspects, of the team, and LeMahieu is great too, because he could play, first, second, really short if you need him to, but you don't really need him to, and third. So Donaldson, I'm sure you saw, I tagged on Twitter. Everyone's getting excited. His OPS is like over 9. And I think he did the same thing last year in the spring, and then was terrible. That's just one of those. No, in the spring, yeah. I mean, obviously terrible in the regular season. But that's one of those things, Tony. Am I right to say too? And I know, well, he's on your team. No one's going to trade for him. You might as well see what you got. But am I right to say that I do not care what he does, that the sooner the better he's off the team? Honestly, I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah. No, I do totally agree. I honestly would hope he does do well. So then maybe a team would bite on him.
Right. Especially if there's an injury that he doesn't see coming.
Exactly. So,
and you saw the thing about how he's, not as crouched at the plate, new batting stance. But I just think the bat speed's gone. And it's funny, actually. And I hope that they're watching now. And if not, that they'll be watching in the future. I was mentioning, at the conference this weekend, I was talking with Mike and Terry over in British Columbia, Canada.
Wow.
And Terry Fleming actually is his name, so it'd be kind of cool if he was watching right now. He might be. We got some viewers in the house.
Yeah, dude.
So he worked for the Blue Jays for 11 years, and I think still has connections, within the organization. Knows Roger Clemens and stuff. And he was saying Josh Donaldson was just his attitude. I mean, just destroyed the team. Obviously had a couple good years, but went against offseason protocol and just kind of was very selfish and stuff. And he agreed with me that he was finished. So it was just kind of funny having that conversation, with him. And we were talking about a lot of baseball. You would have really thoroughly enjoyed it, Tony. We were really talking about everything. And one thing that I loved is he agreed with us on the infield in. He said,
really?
He says, I just feel like it doesn't work. You're giving up the run score. So we were talking about that. And then he also was talking about just all the pitching injuries, and he worked with a lot of pitchers, over the years. And he actually said the big thing is just the mechanics are absolutely brutal. And you just need to be as compact and coming straight forward as much as possible. And I agree with him. I think everybody's too herky-jerky coming in from the side, and that's what causes the arm injuries. So
I can see that.
Yeah, it was a great conversation, and he's actually a big hockey fan as well. Canucks fan, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So we were talking hockey. He thinks the Rangers are well equipped.
Did you ask him how they felt about trading away Horvat?
He said that, of course you have attachments, but it was the right thing for the organization, given where they are. He's a big Peter Patterson fan as well. And then his partner in their business, Mike, he's a big Calgary fan. So we're talking.
Oh, my God.
And it was a great time. They're great guys. And hopefully one of these days you get to meet them, or at least they can, call in. Because I told them anytime. The knowledge that they have, it's just great stuff. So that was just awesome. But
look at you, Brian, talking hockey with a couple Canadians, dude.
It was but Tony, I'm telling you would have thoroughly enjoyed it. Let me tell you. And a couple other comments here, I believe, from Matthew.
Oh yeah. He said, I forget what this is. Probably.
I was talking about how it feels like we're back. Finally.
Yeah. Briefly said the winter slumber is over. He says, tough with the pitching injuries. We'll be fine though.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think what do you expect out of Severino this year? Honestly.
We do have one more comment, by the way.
I haven't gotten it yet.
OAGCT, what's up, Professor? Your Sportsport broadcasting class from SHU. Tony.
Oh wow, dude.
What's up with that? Could you elaborate there?
OAGCT. I mean, I'm not exactly familiar with who this is right now.
One of your students, obviously.
I mean, obviously one of my students. Yeah, sports broadcasting classes. I have 2 sections of that class, so it could be 24 students. OAG, dude. I don't know. I can't really tell from the profile picture. That's kind of small. But hey, man, always appreciate a student,
Yeah,
checking in here.
absolutely.
Obviously, I talk about us a lot. One of their assignments, actually, their assignment we're working on right now is a sports podcast.
Oh, wow.
Because dude, the facility at SHU, there's a sweet like podcasting radio suite.
Right. I remember.
Cameras set up for you and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's something that I think a lot of kids should utilize, and of course, sports broadcasting.
Lauding Tony.
Oh
here.
wow, dude, best professor in SCMA right here.
Let's go.
Stop it! Come on, dude.
Standing O for Anthony Maturiello. Let's go. That is
Wow,
great
dude.
stuff. The energy, Tony, is through the roof this morning.
I think someone's fishing for some extra credit. Maybe I don't know.
But you did ask me, about Severino. Obviously, I mean, you could say it's anybody's guess, but if I had to guess, I would say minimum that he'll miss the first month to 6 weeks of the season. Lat strains. Who comes back quickly from a lat strain? I mean, let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
Also, given the history. So I think they'll be, and I don't mean to be singing the blues when it comes to Luis Severino, but I think they'll be fortunate to get 100 innings out of him this year.
Wow.
But like I said, injury,
is the stuff there though? Is the stuff there?
Bruise opportunity. If he's healthy, this stuff is there.
Yeah.
And this is why I said last year too, he should be a reliever, Tony. You know what I mean? I don't. Right. We've seen him in the postseason. What's his average postseason start? 4 innings. I mean, It's like he would be perfect for the bullpen. But I think at this point they're not going to go back to that. He should though. He should be. But let's just hope Louis heals up, and let's just hope too that he changes the narrative, in the postseason. But then again, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm nervous to even give him the opportunity.
Yeah,
I mean, because last year, he made one mistake. Bregman train tracks. Well, one mistake is too many. And quoting my dad, honestly, because he's very good with the quotes, and I'm sure you can imagine, all of his experience over the years. And he always says, you can't have one bad day, and he's right.
Yeah.
So I can't. I don't know. I can't do it. But listen, I hope he surprises me. I really do. But I know that we have other options if we need to. There's a lot of equity that we've built up. And a couple more comments. Michael coming in hot.
Yeah, Michael says Golda, one of professors at SHU, says that they made it the podcasting room because of DTV.
Wow.
We came in there and made them step it up. I will say, Brian, before when I was there, before like Mike started using the podcasting suite, it was empty all the time. And now, since they made it nice, it's like, dude, it's hard to get times in there, man. It's so crazy.
That's awesome.
He also says Tony's the best professor at SHU, not just SCMA. Come on, guys. Let's be real here. And then Ortega, one of alumni of SCM as well. He has his sports show, Sports Aces podcast. They use that podcasting suite for it. He's been noticing. I threw a bunch of QR codes around the building. Sub Downtime TV.
Wow,
you got to do it, dude.
Let's go. That is awesome stuff. Love to hear that for sure. So yeah, I mean, that's really, kind of my thoughts over here, about the Yankees, and obviously Volpe, the big news, we're just so excited about that. And I really do too. And I know, one thing I just like to add here, and of course, who's my guy? It's Aaron Judge, of course. I've always said before last season started. So if everybody thinks I jumped on the bandwagon after the 62 home run season, I said it before the year started, favorite player of all time. And I would not be surprised, Tony, if he actually ended up having a better year than he did last year. And I know, you could say, you have a record-setting year. How do you have a better year? But I just feel like, especially to begin the season, you remember last year, I think he almost went double-digit games without a home run to start the year, and then he ends up with 62. But, and John and Susan on the radio were talking about it yesterday.
Well, John and Susan.
He's just coming into the year so much more relaxed. And I think there's something to be said about that, because as well as he performed, how could he not be thinking about it on a daily basis, his future, and just to know that he's a Yankee for his career, a captain for his career. You really can't beat that. And the one thing on his mind now, he doesn't care about home run totals, records, regular season wins. He wants to win a title. He wants to bring a title home to New York. And too, he's going to bring Anthony Volpe under his wing. So it's so exciting. And one thing I forgot to share, and it would be hilarious if they were actually watching, but so it was Brandon is his name. He's a rep in Canada for JAF. And he said to me, and this is like, you would crack up if you saw my face when he said this. So we're just sitting at this reception and he goes to me, yeah, Judge, I mean, obviously he had a great year last year, but I have to say, I think it was a mistake that they gave him that contract, re-signed him. Just given the body size, historically, those type of guys, don't hold up. So I think, that's going to be a mistake in a couple of years. And I literally go, I have to tell you, you're talking to the wrong person here. And then, I said the thing about favorite player of the all time. And I just said about the ability. He's the best player I've ever seen talent-wise, all the different things he could do. And just the fact too, okay, I understand, he's bigger and stuff, but of course the Yankees aren't expecting Aaron Judge to be a left center and right fielder for 9 years. I think, they'll take 5 to 6 years. The last 3, if they have to be designated hitter, that's fine. Because obviously he excels with fielding, but why you're paying Aaron Judge $40 million a year is because of his lethal bat. And that's something that I have full confidence for. So that's something that I had to add there. A couple more comments from Michael.
Yes, Michael says he doesn't need extra credit, so what he says is facts. And then he says, that's the first thing Brian said to me when I met him. Hey, I'm Brian. Aaron Judge is my favorite player of all time, even though he said Platter.
Yeah, I was going to say, Michael hitting the bottle early today. Yeah. No, I of course, I'm just kidding around, but and appreciate that. And he's right. I mean, I've been very, very consistent, with that. So let's freaking go. Honestly, let's go. And of course, with we've obviously done our divisional previews, but we will do our kind of playoff preview. I guess we'll go championship series matchups, MVPs and some of the other Cy Young Award predictions on Wednesday. With the season tipping off on Thursday. But let's go, Tony. I am pumped. And now that we are almost a half hour in, we could switch over to the other side of New York, Tony, because I know.
Oh, those are Mets now?
What did you think? I was going to leave you hanging?
Yes. Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Brian.
But I just want to just pass it right over to you, Tony. I'm not even going to say anything because I know there's a couple of things you want to talk about. So go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So, well, I mean, pretty much where the Yankees are finally, I guess, like putting their heads on and using some prospects and some youth of the team. The Mets aren't. I mean, they pretty much optioned every prospect to AAA. No Brett Beatty, no Alvarez, no Mauricio, which is kind of tough. I mean, and from what you can hear from Epler, he gives you the whole political answer where, he loves what these guys have been doing. They have great stuff. They're great talents. He loves them all, but he wants to see them get more at bats in the minor leagues. When you look at certain guys that came up, they had all these at bats. However, he was just naming players around the league that had this many amount of, hundreds of at bats in the minors. And that's what he kind of, I guess, is alluding to, that yes, these guys can be seen, but for now they're going to go into the minors, which I don't know. I think someone like Alvarez is ready. Mauricio seems to be ready as well. I mean, he had one of the more electric spring trainings that I think of any prospect. I mean, his bat was hot. He was hitting home runs, it seemed like, every other day. Mm-hmm. And even someone like Brett Beatty, who I think, we saw him come up last year and he had some good moments, some good hits and big moments, but he's someone who does need a lot more work, I think. But I mean, I don't know. I think for a Mets team that is in desperate need of a bat, not to mention our DH spot is looking a little bit dim, I mean, you're really not sure what you're going to get out of Vogelbach, to be honest. I mean, yeah, we talked about the guy who's, he's been working hard. He lost a lot of weight over the offseason, clearly putting in some work and excited to be, the DH spot for the Mets. But you just don't know, because I feel like, he kind of fizzed out last season. All of a sudden he was, looked like someone who had such a good eye at the plate, then started just striking out, could not buy a hit, it seemed. So I don't know. I think the Mets are putting themselves in a kind of tough position. They optioned Darren Ruff down to the minors, which clearly was an experiment that went wrong. because he really just gave you absolutely nothing basically last season.
And I was just gonna say, okay, so it was Vogelback that picked up the option. Ruff, I guess, just they had contractual rights to. Okay, and I believe actually they designated him for assignment, but I can't imagine, I mean, maybe, but the way he performed last year, I can't imagine somebody claiming him. So I would imagine he'll be outright free agency or AAA Syracuse.
Yeah, correct.
There we go.
And then I believe that Tommy Hunter was brought up to hop in the starting rotation here.
Former Oriole.
Yes, 34 years old, 36
Texas,
maybe?
I believe he pitched as well.
Yeah. Pretty solid. I mean, he was with the Mets, last season,
Bigger
obviously
guy.
too. Yeah. I think he had like maybe 20 games or 14 games, something like that. Had like a 2-something ERA. Pretty solid, I guess. But again, for someone, to make the rotation, I don't know, dude. You're a little worried about the age.
Yeah.
And even sometimes, he was a bullpen guy last year. Like can he handle like the games, the starts? I don't know, man. So I think it's, you're definitely a little worried here. But I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, the only thing I guess you can kind of hope for is that they do bring up these guys at some point sooner rather than later. Again, maybe, again, it's a long season. You don't want to like write anything off right now, but I'm sure, the Mets like, hey, let's see how Escobar looks, as the season starts. Let's see what Tommy Hunter can do right now. Because there's a lot of question marks, even with, having the young guys in there. It's still going to be a question mark in terms of how they can do. I think like, you use Brett as an example from last season. They brought him up. He's someone who really didn't do very well. He looked okay at third base. He had some troubles. His first at bat was a home run, but after that, like he was struggling to hit. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, man. You try and remain hopeful. But again, like, you look at you, for example, Brian.
Yeah.
Like when you hear Volpe makes the starting, opening day roster, I mean, that gets you hyped. It gets the fan base hyped. It gets the team hyped. You want to start this season off with the right foot, with some good attitude, like coming in hot, really, right. into the season to try and get some momentum early, and not starting your youthful players. Is not necessarily, I think, the right way to do it.
No. And I tagged you in it, but I mean, really, Epler talking. I mean, he might as well have been Cashman.
Literally,
I mean, it was the same exact thing. But I will say, to give you a glimmer of hope, I would almost guarantee, Tony, past the date where they get the extra service time, that at least one of Mauricio, Alvarez, Beatty will be called up. And I would imagine all of them will be up at some point this season. And I think Alvarez specifically makes too much sense. I mean, the type of player that he is. They obviously have a hole at DH. They can't be confident that Vogelback's going to be it. So I think once they get to that date where they get another year, I think they will bring him up, especially if they're struggling offensively. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. It's right there. It's right in front of you. But obviously, I really, really was shocked. I mean, we really talked in length all offseason about how we expected him to be the opening day DH.
Yeah, I know. What do you know what the date is for that service time?
I think it's like the 16th or something like that, 15, 16 games or something like that. So
it's
I mean,
not that bad.
Not awful, but also, you don't want to start out 4-10 because you can't score any runs.
Right. Well, I'm sure that won't happen though.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if that's really a poor decision. And it's just kind of one of those things where Steve Cohen, because of the overall budget, gets such praise, but I don't know. And he seems so involved in certain aspects, but then certain other aspects, it's like, is he not paying attention? Is he just giving full authority to his guys? I don't know.
I would imagine Epler's words hold a lot of weight to him. I mean, when you really think about it, like that's what Cohen is, though. He is the money guy. It's like Epler's like, hey, we need this guy. Like, I need you to get it. And then Cohen's like, okay, we'll get him. So, I mean, I don't know, dude. What really worries me the most is that you freaking know that the Phillies are coming out pretty hot. The Braves are going to be coming out pretty hot too. So, I mean, in a division that's going to be so competitive and you feel like it's going to be neck at neck, towards really the whole season, probably. Like I said, you just really want to start off hot, which, you can be hopeful. I mean, we still have a great group of guys here. you re-signed Nimmo to a big contract. He had such a great season last year. You're hoping that's the status quo, which it looks like it could be. You got Marte coming, who's gonna be well rested,
Right.
obviously from the offseason. You Lindor, Alonso. I think there's a lot of bright spots in the lineup and everything, but
McNeil.
yes, of course, Jeff McNeil as well. But you just, there's this much room for error this season right now. So
yeah, and two, I just I don't understand these guys. Mad Dog would always refer to them as the guys with the flip flops, with the Starbucks and the laptops. But it's just you can say whatever you want. We get an extra year. We hoard them in the minors.
Yeah.
But at the same time, excuse me. You bring them up right away. They perform. You sign them to a pre-arbitration extension.
Yeah.
And then you save money in the long run. So it's it's not like that's the only way to go about it. So,
right.
And I think that strategy is better because you look at the Yankees. You think they don't wish they signed Aaron Judge to an extension 3 years ago? I mean, imagine the contract's half as much.
Oh my God, easily. Dude.
So I don't get that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, when you really think about it, realistically, I mean, bringing someone up from the minors, I feel like there's going to be an adjustment period to get it into the majors here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's going to be different looks at bats here. Like, it's not going to be odds are they come up, they don't just freaking click and they're awesome right away. Like, it's going to take a few games. They're going to need to see some, different pitches from different pitchers. So, I mean, I don't know, dude.
And how about this? Where are you going to grow more than actually playing in the major leagues? That's your career.
Dude.
Your career's not in AAA.
Yeah, literally. I don't understand how, they need more at-bats in the minors. Why not just give them more at-bats in the majors? That is the only way to learn. The only way to get better is to just do it. Mm-hmm. Just go out there and see pitches in the majors.
So I do think, the one thing I would say is that when they need these guys, they will bring them. But it's just one of those things. The writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
We all know it. We all know that Daniel Vogelbach is not going to be a key contributor for the Mets this year. Sure, could he surprise us? But look at the back of his baseball card. We know what he is. So that's definitely disappointing. And I did see too, I was listening on the Fan on the way in to some sound. I guess Verlander took one off the calf yesterday, but I guess nothing major.
Yeah, I heard,
Do you heard about that?
Yeah, I saw it, and I heard nothing afterwards. So I was just, he's fine.
And did they? I know I already asked you about this, but did they announce Scherzer opening day?
Scherzer opening day. Verlander home opener.
Home opener. Gotcha. And then so obviously, you got them two at the top, Sangai, Carrasco, and then they're going with Hunter as a fifth starter. So they're going with Peterson out of the pen.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, you look at Peterson's spring training. I forget how many pitches it was over, but I mean, I think he had 12, 14 walks, but only one earned run. So he was, teams were not doing a lot of damage, but he did seem to have an issue with control. So I don't know if that means he needs to warm up a little bit more or something like that. So, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, the stuff was good. Again, he didn't give up a lot of runs, so he was able to work his way out of some jams during spring training. So I don't know. I mean, I can see him maybe coming out of the pen being okay. I think at that point though, I maybe would have preferred him as a starter. I don't know, because we've seen Peterson start before and some of the clunkers he's had.
Right.
I would say it seems like, control was his issue before and it still seems to be his issue. Hence the inconsistency with his starts. So maybe Tommy Hunter. I mean, I don't have much confidence in Tommy Hunter right now, but I guess you could argue that there's a better chance Hunter is a little bit more of a solid starter. I'm just worried about his length, Hunter's length now. Can he pitch more than 4 2/3 of an inning? I don't know, dude. So tough, dude.
Yeah. It really, really is tough. And then probably a stupid question here, but I'm just looking at the Mets roster here. So they're going with Marte, Nimmo, Kana in the outfield?
Yeah.
Okay, and then Pham is the fourth outfielder.
Yeah.
Did you catch any of his at-bats or highlights this spring?
I mean, he had a few good hits, nothing crazy.
And I guess just Vogelbach full-time DH, or is there a platoon there? I don't even know with who, because Ruff is obviously
DFA,
designated.
yeah.
But I guess they're saying, maybe one of those young guys will make the roster now. I mean, I guess that could still happen, or
I mean, I don't know if there's like a deadline or anything, but it said that they optioned everyone to Syracuse.
And they didn't do a court. Yeah, because I think I was just looking at this on Sports. I want to see. Okay, it says, Mark Vientos arrive in New York sooner rather than later this year. That's what they're thinking. Oh, okay, but LeCastro will take his spot. That's what it is.
Oh, right, yeah, Ruffs, yeah.
So 5 outfielders though, and then McNeil could play outfielder too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's probably where you need the most depth is your outfield when you really think about it.
Especially with Marte.
So,
but
I don't know how I feel about LeCastro, honestly. I mean, the speed is there,
but I don't know. To me, Tim LeCastro is a guy that he almost like wanted to be in AAA all year and then just add him to the postseason roster to pinch run.
Yeah,
he can't hit.
I know.
Matt knows it.
He does not get on base.
He's so bad at hitting. He's so fast, but the other guys are fast. It really just
other guys are fast.
It really is tough, Tony. I have to say, this stuff just really, really gets me going. But as everyone who's watching can tell, me and Tony, I mean, we're baseball lifers. We love baseball, so we really look forward to this season talking baseball with everybody. And obviously, there'll be a heavy focus on the Yankees and the Mets, but we'll sprinkle some other stuff in as need be. And of course, anybody that wants to comment about the other teams out there, we're more than happy to talk about it. And like I said, I mean, we could go 5 deep if we wanted to.
And there's so many different like storylines across the league to cover with other teams too. Like it's
my God,
it really is. It's going to be a great season.
Yeah. So we're pumped about that. One thing actually about the Mets too, I just want to ask. I meant to ask you this before, but I forgot. McGill is a reliever.
Yeah, right now.
Like a long roll, or they didn't really kind of say his like spot in the bullpen?
No, yeah, they didn't specify, but I mean, it just seems like he's not ready to be a starter. So,
why did he get a late start to the spring?
No, but his spring wasn't good.
Oh, it wasn't good. Okay.
No,
but still, then again, a younger guy, Tommy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the point of it, Tony. I'm sorry. I
guess they're just like taking a chance to see what happens, and then. If Tommy, which I'm not anticipating him being able to throw a lot of innings. Like, it's just so weird. Yeah. Maybe they think they're doing like a combo. Oh, he's our 5 starter, but after 3 or something, we'll throw in McGill for a few innings. I don't know, dude.
But it's just one of those things, as you're saying it's just absolutely insane.
I know. It sounds crazy.
It really is. And I actually just did see this morning. I think we looked this up before and we knew it. But I guess it would be officially midnight tonight. MLB The Show being released.
Oh, no kidding. Dude.
So can we book a week from today for Gaming Corner?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's lock that in. Everybody put that on the calendar. Tony, I think, is just double checking the schedule. There.
Always double check the schedule.
I
couldn't imagine, next Monday night having any issues, which no, there are none, dude.
All right.
April 3rd, dude.
Put it on your calendar. April 3rd, Gaming Corner, MLB The Show.
Wow.
2023.
Dude, that's going to be so sweet.
Oh, my God. I am going to just play that game religiously. But the only thing that's tough is...
Are you doing a full 9?
Oh, yeah, full 9.
Oh, let's go, dude.
Of course. But we're going to have to, figure something out how we can have... Well, how can we do it so that we can have both games, like the Yankees and the Mets are probably going to be playing? How can we do it? Like, can we get... Like, I have some extra monitors, too. I mean, we can figure something out. I think I have a Roku. Like, we can get some streams going while we're playing.
Okay, yeah, definitely. We can probably throw a game up on the Mac up here.
Okay.
Throw another game. I mean, we can use that TV for the Roku instead of the monitor. We don't really need it, right?
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we don't even need any extra monitors. We'll just do it that way,
I
right?
don't think so, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Chokery coming in.
Oh, Choker says he loves the Yankees jersey.
Yes. So we know he's excited for another season of Yankees baseball.
Is he going to come up and see a lot of games?
I guarantee he's going to see one this year because we had such a great time. And I have to send you the videos, and I apologize, Jennifer, my sister, if she's watching. She took some great videos, and I think I mentioned to you when she was here in studio with us. I just forgot to give them to you guys. So we'll have to maybe make a vlog of that or something. But I'm telling you, some good content there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine me at a Yankee game.
Oh, yeah, I could.
You know what was funny, too? I was just thinking about this. Me and my dad, on the way back from the airport, I had told him the story yesterday about the Yankees Mets game I was at last year. Remember when I was telling you about how I was with Mark and then the fan? Oh my! I swear to God, Tony, if we had a video of that scenario, it would go viral. It was just, I wish you could have seen it too.
Oh, me too.
And you would have been so proud of me. I'm telling you, just me stepping up. Listen, man. We don't need any situations here. Leave it to a Mets fan, though.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have handled it the same way?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Because it just, I mean, you can't take a chance in that scenario.
No.
And as much as we love baseball, we're not taking a chance where we can't get back into the stadium.
Know.
We definitely can't do that. And I didn't even actually tell Chokery, but I will be at opening day. So I know, you'll be excited to see some of the footage I'll get. So I can't wait to once again share that with all you Yankees and Giants. And it is just amazing to wrap up this topic of baseball here. Just how much better this game will be versus what it could have been. Could you imagine this game? You got IKF starting at shortstop, Aaron Judge starting in right field for the Giants. Like this would have been doomsday 2023.
Yeah.
So it just absolutely, absolutely amazing day. And I'm just so excited about it. So obviously Yankees 105, Mets will get underway 4:10 from Lone Depot Park, Miami, Florida. And it's kind of interesting. They average like 5,000 fans a night, but for that game, there'll probably be 20,000 and then never again the rest of the season.
Yeah, probably right.
And I don't know. That's one problem I always wanted to fix, but I don't know. It just Florida, fair weather, bad ownership, obviously. I mean, do you think the only thing would be is like they literally like are a consensus 100 win team for a couple of years in a row? That's the only thing that would do it, or that you would still question it?
I don't know. I think I would still kind of question it.
But it's a great park too. I guess just the people don't like the surrounding area. Difficult to get to.
Is it? I honestly have no idea about the area around it.
Yeah. I guess it's in the Little Havana section of Miami. And it's just not. It's not like where the football stadium is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know how you build a new ballpark and you make a great park and then you don't put it in the right place. I don't know. I don't understand that one. But yeah, so opening day we'll get underway on Thursday, and obviously, like I said, we'll go with our predictions on Wednesday. A lot of games on the schedule, so can't wait for that.
Hell yeah.
Do we have just we don't have our intro video for this, but do we have just some type of hardwood you could put behind me, Tony?
Oh yeah. For some March Madness hardwood.
Oh yeah, you do have the March Madness background. That's my apologies.
No, it's okay,
about that
dude.
one. But yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, stretch we had Thursday through yesterday, March Madness, and really one of the more unpredictable tournaments that we've ever seen since seeding began in 1979. The first Elite Eight was played, yesterday and Saturday with no number one seeds. So that was, just really surprising. And what a run too. And I said this on Wednesday, when I was last here, I said, I'm going to be sitting in this seat talking about UConn going to another Final Four. And here we are. And I have to say, I had in no way did I think that they would dominate, the way that they did against the teams that they did. You start out with Arkansas. Really, a lot of momentum after, taking out defending champion Kansas. So you figured, you got Musselman tossing his shirt into the crowd. I mean, you expected that was going to be a tough matchup. And, maybe the opening minutes of the game, Tony, it was close, but you look at the score at halftime, they were up by 17. So really that one not in question. They end up winning 88 to 65. Just a really potent offense and just the chemistry. I mean, you could tell by far with all the teams in the tournament, the UConn has the best chemistry on the team, and just anybody could step up at any moment. That game specifically, Sonogo with 18 and 8, Hawkins had 24. You got 11 out of Caravan. I mean, they're just so big and physical, but they have shooters like Newton and Jackson and Hawkins from the outside, not to mention the bench. Elaine had 10 off the bench in that one. So that was, a win to get UConn into the Elite Eight.
Gonzaga blew it, dude.
And
they really did.
Speaking of that, Tony, the game against Gonzaga, very tight in the first half. UConn hit a 3 at the buzzer to go up 7. So you figure, okay, I mean, Gonzaga, Drew Timme, how many, NCAA tournament games has he played in? The stash, Tony knows the power of the stash. So you figure second half big, but he gets in foul trouble with 4 fouls. And, you have Gonzaga coming off an all-time classic game against UCLA, winning by 3. They're down 7.5. You expect them to have some fight. They end up losing 82-54.
Unbelievable.
So, really probably the worst loss of Drew Timme's career at Gonzaga, I would imagine. I didn't look that up, but I would imagine so. And UConn just once again thoroughly dominating, really answering the call. Hawkins led the way with 20 points, 6 rebounds. And then you also had Jackson, who had 8 points and 10 assists, contributing. And Sanogo didn't even have a good game. He had 10 points, 10 rebounds, but 3 of 11 from the floor. You got 12 out of Caravan as well. So once again, up and down the lineup, Elaine had 8 and Calcaterra had 8 as well, but they are so deep. I've never seen a team play this many players and have them all be effective. And I really think a lot of credit needs to go to Dan Hurley. Because going into this tournament, I said, maybe it's his job on the hot seat. He hasn't won an NCAA tournament game. And you could see all the highlight videos, the pre and post game, kind of talks that he gives. I mean, he's locked in, he's engaged, he's motivating these guys. He's getting the best, out of these guys. And this is a team that started out 14-0 and then lost, I believe it was 4 out of 5 games. So that's a tough stretch. And then you're thinking, oh, here we go again. But nevertheless, UConn really just, really dominating here and, getting to yet another Final Four. I believe it's their 5th Final Four since 1999, which is really quite the run if you think about it. But obviously it's been a long time, 9 years since they were in it last time. And how ironic, too, this is out of those 5 Final Fours, this is the 4th one in the state of Texas. I believe the Kemba championship was won in Houston as well. So they will return to Houston. And I feel like it's kind of, poetic too, Nance on his final Four call, we'll call it. And, he's obviously been at the helm for the other UConn national titles. I could just hear it in my head now, for the 4th time in the last 15 years, the last championship they won back in 2014, the Hungry Huskies, Shabazz, all of that. And I really think too, and, obviously Sanogo is really good, but you think back to those past 2 championships and it was so, guard dominant, whether we're talking about Kemba or Shabazz. I feel like this team is different where Sanogo obviously is a big name, but it's everybody contributing. So that's just what makes it, really special. So, I mean, I was just thoroughly impressed with the way they've been able to dominate. So they will have a date with the University of Miami, on Saturday in the Final Four in Houston. And it's just kind of ironic enough that yesterday Miami, has that 13-point comeback against Texas to get into the Final Four. Coach Jim Larrañaga, it was 17 years to the day that he upset UConn as the coach of George Mason to get George Mason to their first Final Four. So he gets Miami to their first Final Four, obviously looking for some revenge there. So that should be a great game.
Dude, Miami killed it
last
night.
Yeah, I mean, to be down 45-37 at the break and
literally
to score 51 in the second half. I mean, that's really just, great offense and really unbelievable. So congratulations to them. We saw that game versus San Diego State and Creighton down to the buzzer.
Oh, yeah.
Controversial foul call. But at the end of the day, San Diego State gets to their first Final Four. They will face off against a team that is in their first Final Four as well in Florida Atlantic University. So it's just unbelievable. I mean, I would say since I've been watching college basketball, this is the most unpredictable Final Four I've ever seen. Florida Atlantic, I believe they were it might have been 2,500 to 1 before the season to make the Final Four.
Crazy.
And then the fact that them or San Diego State will be playing for a national title is unbelievable. And I don't know if you heard this, but I think they played it before the Elite Eight games. But Charles Barkley, who, I've always said, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I guess they did a 60-minute interview with him, and he's saying the NIL deals are ruining college basketball. We're going to see only 25 teams compete. And then we have a Final Four where 3 of the teams have never made a Final Four. So I think that just shows that that's not true. These players deserve to be compensated. They bring in a lot of revenue for the schools.
Wait, I don't understand. What was he trying to say?
That the players being
being paid
because the bigger schools
will
have
pay
deeper
more
pockets, so
Right,
that they're
right.
going to dominate. But I mean, did that help Purdue when they were knocked out in the first round? And does FAU have $50 million of NIL money? I mean,
you're saying
oh,
Barkley's
he's an
wrong.
idiot, but he's always been an idiot.
But I think the NIL agreement means that they can get like sponsorship, though.
But sponsorship, but boosters pay them. The schools, they can get any type of
Wow.
money. Yeah, that's what it started out to be, but it's turned into you're buying players, basically. But yeah, so I just thought that was ironic. And it's nice to get an old Big East matchup here with Miami and UConn. I think that will be a really good game. And I know UConn's won all these games by 20 points. But I would expect this one to be a possibly single-digit game.
Wow.
Obviously UConn the superior team, but we know that Miami is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And Jim Larrañaga, has that track record where he's now become almost a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, getting George Mason, getting Miami.
Dude, Miami loves it. The team loves him.
It's unbelievable how they respond to him. And the guy, going into the year, they made the Elite Eight last year. And no one's talked about him as one of the better coaches in America, but I think after this run, they definitely will. And I really think that is the de facto national championship game. I mean, listen, we've seen some things, but it just seems like, you think back to Sister Jean, Gonzaga, Butler, when these Cinderellas get to the Final Four, I mean, the last Cinderella to really win a national title was Larry Bird at Indiana State in 1979. That would be one of the most surprising things I've ever seen in sports if San Diego State or FAU won this championship. I would be absolutely stunned. Not to say that they're not great programs, but it just seems like in those championship games, the better team steps up.
Oh, yeah.
Now, would you say, are you impressed, Tony, with this run that UConn's went on?
For UConn, yeah. I mean, you think about going back to when we first started our bracket. I don't think we had UConn going very far. Maybe like
lose to Iona in the first round.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, we didn't have a lot of confidence in them, and as Brian was alluding to, head coach job on the line. Never won a tournament game before. Odds seemed like they were a little bit against UConn. And of course, for us personally, we did pick them to win the last two tournaments.
Right. And they lost in the first round.
So, obviously you got to be impressed here with UConn, especially, if you're us here. And to make it to the Final Four with some of the the close wins they've had, the dominant wins they had this past weekend. I mean, I think it does say a lot about UConn. And obviously we were wrong about it. Most people were wrong about it. So that's totally fine. But I think them against Miami, I think, like you said, it's going to be a really tight single-digit game here. It's going to make for some great basketball. And I'm sure that, a lot of people around here in Connecticut are going to be tuned in.
Oh, yeah. So really excited for that. The two games. So we got 6:09 San Diego State FAU on Saturday, April 1st, and then 8:49 following that, Miami versus UConn. So that'll be a great game. Both games on CBS. And as I said, Jimmy Nance, the last time that he will do the Final Four and then go right to Augusta. What a stretch that is, and how fortunate he is to have done that for as long as he has.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't wait. What an exciting time of year. But I actually do have, Tony, some breaking news.
Oh, no kidding.
Lamar Jackson announced he has requested a trade from the Baltimore Ravens as of March 2nd. So you think about, today being the 27th. This has been over 3 weeks that he has requested a trade from the Baltimore Ravens. But obviously, they I don't know how else to say it other, Tony, but they do have him by the balls here because, they have the non-exclusive franchise tag on him. Any team that trades for him has to give up 2 first-round picks, and the Baltimore can match any deal. And I don't know, because of this, and because, Baltimore is known as one of the more better-run organizations, in the NFL, that you would think that they're not going to just hold them hostage and make them play for them, and that's not something that they would do. But it's really tough to know because who's going to trade for him? I guess is my first question. Who's going to give him, what he wants is my next question. And this is a situation I really I don't know how this plays out. I mean, do you have any kind of sense of where we're going to get here?
Honestly, I think he's going to have to end up staying with Baltimore.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, like you said, who is in the position and the dire need for him to give up 2 first-round draft picks? Are there any stipulations? It could be any either this draft or the draft after.
Yeah,
does it have to be?
I don't think you could trade your 2045 first round pick. I'm sure it's within a couple of years you could do that. I mean, we'll have to check into this, but I believe it might be just your next 2 first round picks. If I had to guess, I'm
that's
not
crazy.
Sure.
And I feel like, dude, Lamar. I mean, come on. I mean, the stock for Lamar can't even be that high right now that a team would want that, dude. Come on.
It's
bad.
And if I'm not mistaken, Tony, I believe $200 million guaranteed is on the table, and it's just he's so set on. I have to get paid more than Deshaun Watson, and I understand. Deshaun Watson, obviously, missing a year, playing part of the year last year, looking terrible, but it's Lamar. I know you're just so set on it, but unfortunately, you really don't have a say in the matter, and you're only worth as much as teams will pay you.
Yeah.
I mean, whether, that's right or not, and you feel like you deserve more, that's reality. And I think right now he's having a tough time coming to grips with reality. And that's why he finds himself, in this situation. And just kind of thinking around the league, the first team, that I thought of was Atlanta. Just because I feel like, there's an opportunity there. There's some talent, on that team. And I know Arthur Blank, I heard his interview with Christopher Mad Dog Russo on Radio Row, and you could just sense it in his voice. And I believe he's around 80 years old. He wants to win again. Atlanta's been struggling, 7-10, no playoffs last year, no playoffs the last couple years. So they found themselves in a tough position, but I believe, Arthur Smith is a good head coach. I like Drake London, going into his second year at wide receiver. You think about Cordarrelle Patterson and Tyler Algier, and I know they drafted Desmond Ridder last year. They signed Taylor Heineke, but I think he could come in there. You also have Kyle Pitts, who I think could be one of the better tight ends in the league this year. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I guess the other 2 teams that I would suggest would be the Colts. And I know they have a high draft pick, but obviously they could trade that pick. And we know Jim Irsay. We know he wants to win. So I think that would make sense. And then obviously, I don't want this, but if, Brian Gutekunst of the Packers is going to keep sticking out his chest with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets could pivot. And I know, it doesn't seem smart, giving 2 first-round picks away. But if for whatever reason the Jets just simply cannot get Aaron Rodgers, I mean, you kind of have to. You're not going to draft another quarterback. So
what do you think the odds are of that scenario happening, though?
I mean, it seems like it's a 90% Rodgers is going to go to the Jets, but it's just it's just so ridiculous. And that guy, maybe we make fun of Aaron Rodgers a lot. Maybe he did have a point, going back to last offseason where, he's really voiced his displeasure for him. Maybe he is an egomaniac. And this is a perfect example. You got a draft coming up, and you want more picks in it. The Jets are going to give you more picks. You want to prepare. You want to know where those picks fall. You want to know who you're going to be selecting. And you want Jordan Love to know that you're confident that he's going to be your next franchise quarterback. So they'll just let this thing linger. I don't feel like it's beneficial for them.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like at this point, every day that goes by with the Packers, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't think the Jets are getting uninterested though. Like you're saying.
No, they're not getting uninterested. But I'm saying it's are they going to draw a line in the sand and say, I will not give you a first round pick if you want one with stipulations for next season, sure, but we are not trading the 13th pick. And Gutekunst says, I'm only trading him if you give me the 13th pick.
Do you think Gutekunst is going to be that hum-ho about it, though? I feel like when the Jets do end up drawing that line in the sand, I mean, at the end of the day, like you want to get something for Rodgers is not going to play for Green Bay.
Right.
Like,
exactly. So I think there is a June 1st deadline, but
Yeah.
you know where we are. We're at the end of March. So there's a lot of time between now and then. Preparation for the draft. The draft is before then. You want to get the picks for this year to help the team. It's just it's like the
It's a
same
shit
thing
show,
with the front offices in baseball. It's just
Ugh.
like, what the hell are you doing? And just kind of, I don't know. I'm just looking around here too. One other thing that just comes to mind. I mean, maybe San Francisco. I know obviously Purdy's there coming back from the injury.
Yeah.
Trey Lance. It would be exciting because Kyle Shanahan loves running the football. That would be pretty exciting. I mean, I don't know. John Lynch, I mean, he doesn't seem like a guy, especially after they kind of whiffed with Trey Lance, giving up those first round draft picks to give him some record-setting deal, give up the picks. I don't know if that is the right way to go.
Right. What about Sam Darnold?
Yeah, exactly. Sam Darnold, but oh man, it's just, and I wonder too if I know he has some business partner, but is Lamar being too stubborn here too that he didn't hire an agent, and that's why he's kind of in this situation?
Yeah, no, you're probably right. I mean, that's what agents are for, really, for situations like this. But also, I mean, do you think again, I think why he requested it when early March?
Yeah,
and that there's just coming out now. I mean, do you think he does end up whatever? I mean, if he, doesn't get, he obviously requested the trade, he's not going to get traded probably. And then what? He's going to be stuck playing, or you think he's going to not play?
No, he's going to play. But I don't know how desperately the Ravens want to rectify the situation. I just his demands are too much, man. And it's like, he also, he's got to take some blame. I think I've always thought it was exciting and fun to watch, but at the same time, he could say whatever he wants. He did quit on the team last year.
Yeah, he did.
And he hasn't progressed as a passer. He could talk about his MVP
he really
award,
hasn't.
but every wide receiver doesn't want to play with him. So it's like, Lamar, when are you going to take accountability?
Yeah, that's tough, dude.
So
and all those games last season, blowing it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, not a good look, dude.
I don't know.
Who are the Texans quarterback right now?
They have the second overall
draft
pick, so they're widely expected to take a quarterback. I don't think I was actually going to look. I don't think they brought in a veteran, but then again, too, I mean, does Lamar want to go to Houston? I mean, I don't think so. So
I feel like they can't be kind of,
that's why we come back to Atlanta. If he is going to get dealt, I just think it makes a lot of sense to go there. I think he could really turn that team into a winner. And like I said, I mean, that Arthur Blank wants to be a contender. Indianapolis, same thing there as well. But I do think Irsay, he's done a lot of plug and play. I do think he wants a guy that he could possibly have for 15 years as a starting quarterback. And I know, Lamar, he can still give you 10, but then to invest the draft capital, I'm not sure he wants to do that. Yeah,
I know it's such a tough investment, dude.
Tricky situation. But something, of course, Tony, that we will keep an eye out for.
Oh yeah, dude.
But let's go now to the world of the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Hat-trick goal!
My goodness, this is a great shot.
Big hit on the far side by the car! He flattens Jordan's skull! Oh my goodness!
That's the gun right back. Terrifying and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliant from Igor Shesterkin.
It's a breakaway to win it in overtime. McDavid scores the winner in overtime.
All right. And one thing actually quickly before we, obviously talk about the Rangers over the weekend is, my friends from Canada, Mike and Terry, I didn't really, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but there is a ton of hate for the Toronto Maple Leafs and Toronto in general, Toronto sports, like people from other areas of Canada, I guess, because they think Toronto thinks they're all that and everyone else, isn't as superior. but they were like really like going in on the Maple Leafs and how they haven't made it out of the first round.
Yeah.
Like really like going after them. I don't know. Did you like have any idea that they were that hated nationally in Canada?
Honestly, no. I would have expected the Canadiens to be a little bit more hated. But I mean, I guess when you look at Toronto, I mean, I believe that they have, the second most cups as a team historically in the league here. And, they have who is supposed to be, I guess, the second best player in the league as well in Austin Matthews and everything. And I don't know. I could see Toronto fans being like almost like Yankee fans, chip on the shoulder, the history, all the great names,
yeah, but
dude.
Yeah, whoa. But I feel like the difference here, I mean, hasn't Toronto not won a title since the 60s or 70s?
Something?
So
yeah.
how does that compare to the Yankees? I mean, think about how many titles they've won since then.
Exactly. So you're making my point. Thank you.
I'm not sure.
Think about how many titles the Yankees have won since the 70s.
But I'm saying I'm not sure I'm seeing it, Tony. I mean, they've been a dumpster fire for 50 years. So how does that relate to the Yankees?
That would be the only difference, even though the Yankees
it's a pretty big difference, no?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like the Yankees haven't been good in I don't know, the last, what do you want to say, 12 years?
It's a big discrepancy, Tony. I'm just
saying it's the same thing, like at the core. It's
same thing at the core.
Yeah, at the core of it all, dude. It's the same thing. All right. And Toronto hasn't, they get all these big names, hoorah, and they really haven't done much.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm seeing that.
But then again, I don't know Toronto's fan base. Okay, I could see Toronto, big city, kind of just off the, tip of the United States. I don't know, dude.
Interesting stuff.
Well, I would imagine, especially, Calgary, Vancouver. What Americans really know much about those two areas? Nothing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So they're probably overlooked as teams, as just territories, as provinces, whatever. Provinces, yeah. So I could see why they're a little angry about it.
Interesting. But it was nice too. You would think, Eastern Conference. Well, actually, Calgary. Vancouver's in the East or Vancouver's in the West?
Vancouver's in the West.
Yeah, okay, so I guess that's why, because they were like, Calgary, we like the Rangers. Yeah, we hope the Rangers do well, and I was like kind of surprised at that. But then, like, of course they're saying that because they were doing the anybody but Toronto bit.
That's so funny, dude.
Tony, I am telling you, you got to have a beer with these guys.
Oh my god, I want to. It sounds awesome, dude.
But so the Rangers obviously last played on a Saturday, and getting a nice 4-3 win over the Florida Panthers, and obviously, the Rangers jockeying for position here, so really trying to win as many games as they can down the stretch. And this was impressive in my eyes, just because you found yourself on the road in a 2-0 hole after the first period. So, it's kind of hard to not, get a little defeated there and think, geez, we're down 2, we didn't score in the first. What's going to happen here? So they give up those goals to Barkov and Lornberg to make it 2-0. But luckily for them, Halak flawless from that point on, and the Rangers just go after Bobrovsky, who has not been the same this year. And obviously we've talked in length about that. Kakko getting the Rangers on the board, his 14th, assisted by the kids, Tony, Hedel and Lafreniere. And then speaking of Laffy, he gets his 15th. So they're kind of going back and forth here. Kakko with 14 goals this year, Lafreniere with 15. So that tied it at 2, heading into the third. Patrick Kane finally getting his 20th goal of the year, unassisted. So a nice goal there by Patrick Kane, making it 3-2. And then what do you know? Another kid, Philip Hedel, Tony, with his 21st, assisted by Kakko. So that made it 4-2. And then, they did actually allow one more goal to Barkov, his second, that made it 4-3. But that was the final margin. The Rangers winning 4-3. And I just think you have your backup goalie. You're going against the team Florida that's in the playoff mix. To win this game, to get all those goals and assists out of, your younger players, that, you've been somewhat disappointed with. I know Hedel has had a pretty solid year, but, the production, goal scoring wise, and I'm sure you saw the graphics. They were all over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram about how Jack Hughes has 40 goals this season. Kakko has 40 for his career, and the Rangers selected Kakko over Hughes. So it's just, that's out there. So I just think it was big that they stepped up. You got Kane on the board. And you pick up, your 43rd victory of the season. And you know how it is, the Rangers, they haven't won since 94. There's that urgency of winning now. And I think almost in a way, just because of the certain struggles that the Rangers have had this year at times, we've almost like kind of downplayed what a great season that they've had. And because the Eastern Conference is tough.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've won 43 games, I think is big time. And, obviously there's only a handful of games here. I mean, 63-73. So they got 9 games left. You got 1 point between you and Toronto. And for that home ice, I think that's big. So every game counts, but I think it's really impressive here what the Rangers have done. And they also are 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. So they're doing it at the right time. And I really am expecting them to leapfrog Toronto here. But obviously, time will tell. And I also, too, going back to Toronto and, what they haven't done recently, even if, they have to be the 5th seed, I still feel pretty good about that matchup.
Yeah. I mean, you're always a little nervous in the playoffs, but I mean, to what you were saying about, Saturday's game, it was super crazy. It was actually kind of fun too. We were at the Horseshoe. And of course, every TV at the Horseshoe had March Madness going on, except for one TV in the back left corner, the Ranger game going on. So literally, if you can picture this, everyone at the bar, like we're standing by the pool table with the big TV behind, behind us. So everyone at the bar is looking at the big TV, like even Jay and Mike, and I have my back to that big TV, looking the other way, watching the Ranger game. And it was so funny. Again, I was the only one getting hyped for this comeback, and no one was really paying attention. It was just like me. I was like, "Oh, dude, like Eagles just scored!" And like no one. So funny, but you mentioned the kid line. I mean, getting hot at the right time. They did the same thing last year, going into the postseason. They got hot at the right time. You have to see them do this right now, leading up into the postseason. Kind of hopefully they can carry that momentum. Again, you had 4 goals on the ice on Saturday night. 3 of them came from that kid line. Hito, Lafreniere, Kakko all had a goal and assist on Saturday night, which you absolutely love to see that from your youth. And that's why you keep that line together. You saw what they could do in the postseason last year. You keep that line together as the young guys, because I'll tell you right now, your first and second lines, I mean, weren't really doing much. We had great opportunities all around. But, it was, I think, Jimmy Vesey's line with Goudreau that was having a lot of good chances early on. I mentioned the goal scoring from our third line, from the kids. You had that goal by Kane, which was ridiculous. I don't know if you saw it, but he tried to do like a cross-ice pass, and a defenseman, maybe Verhaeghe, had a stick out and just it hit his stick and went into the goal. Like, it was so crazy. So Rangers getting a little bit lucky, I think, with that goal, and then Florida's defense really broke down towards the later part of the game as well. I want to say it was not Kane's goal. Heedle's last goal was just like, I don't even know what Florida was doing. They just literally had the puck in their own zone and just fumbled it. And then, there goes Kakko, who has the puck and was able to find Heedle. So, obviously a win is a win here, but against a team like Florida, I know it was a comeback and everything too, but you're down 2-0 early. You were 0 for 3 in the power play. It seemed like, you had a really tough time, getting pucks past Bobrovsky. And of course, he had a solid game, he had 38 saves. He faced 42 shots. That's a lot for a goaltender. And they were great opportunities too, all throughout from the first 2 minutes in the game. We were on the power play and we had opportunities, but he just came up big, so, he was working, hard all game. And obviously towards the end, that third period is really what solidified us there. But even so, you still kind of had Florida staying in the game too, with that Barkov goal late in the third. Other teams, you're looking at Toronto, you're looking at teams, like that you'd be facing, like Pittsburgh, you face them in the playoffs, Carolina. They're a team who you let them within 1 goal of you late in the third period. They have, more of a chance than Florida to score another goal. So, a little uneasy win here, but it was a win. And you mentioned they were 8-1-1 in their last 10. So, I mean, hey man, they've been playing great hockey at the right time. Halak looked great. I understand. I know that down too early, but he had some really big saves in the second and the third as well. He faced 34 shots. So, a solid game from Halak. Shesterkin has been looking great too. So, I mean, I think you have a lot of different things going well for the Rangers right now. And you mentioned, them bring them the necks of Toronto. That's I think really what you want to be focused on right now. It's winning those games, leapfrogging Toronto, getting the home ice, feeling a little bit more comfortable, for the playoffs. If that is kind of the scenario for you, especially since the Garden, I feel like during that homestand has been just awesome. They've been rocking. It was like a fucking club during the homestand here. So, if you're a Rangers fan, I mean, you got to be more than excited here. So.
Yeah.
And then for the Jack Hughes thing, by the way, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that Jack Hughes, I'd rather have him than Kakko right now. But you got to, I mean, Jack Hughes gets, considerable more amount of ice time.
Mm-hmm.
He has longer shifts, more shifts than Kakko. I haven't really looked in terms of, comparing their career ice time out there. But I mean, the Devils just use him
in a different way.
Yeah.
But also, though, you know how we are at this day and age. No one has any patience. And I think we've had some patience with him. But it's like, I mean, let's go. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, maybe in 5 years we'll score 20 goals. I mean, come on. That's all I would say to that. So the Rangers, will continue on tomorrow against the Blue Jackets. So that's a game, obviously, you feel good about, you want to have. So, another home game there. So that should be pretty good, but we do have 6 games on the ice tonight, so a few to pick from, Tony, and we got that deadline looming, so we got 3 days here for you to make up 7 points with the picks. So
has it really gotten 7 points, dude?
We're gonna need a run of the ages, Tony, but obviously we will give you every opportunity there, or otherwise we are going to be heading to the comfy confines of Bowlmore. So let's go.
Oh
man.
yeah, Bowlmore Lanes, that's your area, dude. All right.
We're probably due for another show there too, by the way.
Yeah, I would say so, dude.
But the only thing is I don't know, the only tough part about that is then I feel like we don't get to bowl as much though.
I think we bowled like a game when we were there.
Yeah, like you're looking at, I mean, what are you satisfied with game wise when you're at the lanes? I mean, you're looking for at least 3,
minimum 3.
Yeah. No, I feel you there. So yeah, it is 51-44. What are you leading with?
Give me Colorado over there. They're gonna be in Anaheim tonight. So I mean, you look at Colorado, you look at the defense, the goaltending. I mean, I think Georgiev getting his 5th shutout of the season, which I believe would be leading the league at this point. So give me the Avalanche, easy peasy, 3-0, dude.
There we go. I'm gonna go with the Islanders.
Oh,
wow. The Devils clinching the playoff berth over the weekend. Actually, I would have probably been at the game. A few of my friends were there, and I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think you did meet him once. My friend that's a Devils fan. His name is Stax.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was there, all pumped up about that one. But now playoff berth, Islanders, really wanting to make sure they're in the playoffs. So I just feel like, they have really been playing so well. And I honestly think they have a chance to beat the Bruins, honestly, in the playoffs. I mean, they've been playing that well. And of course, getting Horvath was a big part of that. But that being said, Tony, yeah, give me the Islanders here. I'm going to say 4-2 over the Devils. And Boomer was actually just talking about he was hanging with Matt Martin over the weekend. So speaking of him, how about a rare 2-goal game from Mr. Martin?
That's crazy, dude. All right, my next game, I guess give me the Sabres at home against the Canadiens, dude. I just feel like the Sabres at home, only -170 here. I understand the Canadiens, I guess I've won some games you wouldn't expect them to. They just had an 8-goal game against Columbus. They beat Tampa Bay, but then they lost Tampa Bay, and they gave up 9 goals to Florida. lost to Boston. So I don't know. I mean, again, they have opportunity to win here. But the last time these two teams played, Sabres won 7-2, pretty dominant. So give me the Sabres here again. I'm gonna say maybe a little bit closer. I'll say 3-1.
Does St. Louis come back next year?
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Big expectations, I think, at that point.
Yeah,
I mean, how many times are you going to keep losing,
I mean, he's got a tough team to be working with here. It's not exactly, but
yeah.
I will say, I mean, the man loves hockey. I would imagine, I mean, he's here to coach because he wants to be. He's definitely coming back.
Connor McDavid is going to make Vizmelka look like a fool tonight in Arizona. So I'd expect a sold-out crowd there of 4,000 in Tempe. They obviously want to see McDavid. But anyway, obviously having a ridiculous year. I'm going to say hat trick. Absolute bloodbath, Tony. Oilers gearing up for the playoffs here. Give me them. I'm going to say 7-2 over the Coyotes, getting completely embarrassed.
Wow, dude.
They're actually 20-11 at home. So that comfy confines is actually boded well for them.
Really?
I mean, for a team that's under 500, that's a pretty good home record.
20-11.
Yeah.
I think it's more so of the visiting team getting fucking tight.
Yeah.
That they're on like some shitty, God, dude. High school arena, really.
Yeah.
All right. My next game.
Third and
final here, dude. So we have either Panthers, Senators, or Kraken Wild.
I was talking to a Wild fan, by the way, too. He was all pumped up. He's been in the owner's suite.
Really?
Below the arena. They have some ridiculous bar. And this guy, I forgot what his name was, but I mean, he's, I guess, just.
What's the deal with all these roofing people being big hockey fans?
Dude, I mean, you think about it, the demographics, everyone being spread out all over the country. In Minnesota, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, big hockey town.
Hockey town, yeah.
Speaking of Minnesota, give me the underdog here with Seattle, honestly. Seattle coming off a hot 7-2 victory over Nashville. The Kraken has played the Wild twice this season, only giving up one goal between both of those games and scoring 4. So, the first game they won 4-0. Second game they lost 1-0. So I just feel like the Wild historically this season have not really scored a lot against the Kraken. And I feel like the Kraken higher odds of scoring more than one goal here. So give me the Seattle Kraken here. I'm going to say it's a 3-1 victory.
Wow.
Yeah. Underdog spot. What do you got for? Who are you picking here? You go Florida. You don't Florida?
Yeah.
I knew it, dude.
I don't like the Senators.
You don't.
And you look at Florida here. They've been going back and forth, but due to I didn't realize though that the so 3, 6, 7, so the Penguins have slid ahead here. Due to Florida losing 3 in a row. Which is interesting. So they have to win as many as they can. So they're going to give it their best shot. But wow, Sid the Kid sliding in there with that playoff
that is pretty
streak.
Crazy.
And I would love to see the upset against Boston. But now that sets up Islanders, Hurricanes, and then Devils and the Lightning. So Toronto, New York, I mean, pretty good playoff series there. But yeah, anyway, Senators, I don't know. Nice. Oh, you're over 500. Great. But you're not going to make the playoffs once again. So give me the Panthers here. I'm going to say Tkachuk, 2 goals and an assist, 2-0 Panthers. Nice, easy, clean, symmetrical, Tony.
Just like that, symmetrical.
But yeah, so I mean, we are at a great time of the year. When you think about it, obviously the Final Four this weekend, Stanley Cup playoffs starting in April, opening day on Thursday, and then how about, Tony? A week from Thursday, the opening tee shot from Augusta National. Are you kidding? So what a stretch we're on here today. And speaking of golf, just quickly here, I just want to give a shout out to Sam Burns defeating Cam Young in the finals of the WGC Matchplay tournament, Austin Country Club. So I did not go by the golf course, but I
didn't even see it. How close were you?
I don't think that far. I didn't look it up though, but I would say it wasn't that far away. But I mean, I think that's pretty impressive. This was Sam Burns' 5th career victory. And then the fact too that in the consolation match, you had Rory versus Scheffler. So the fact that we didn't get that for the final, really just shows how well Sam Burns and Cam Young played in this tournament. And that's what, makes the, makes this match play tournament so special. And that's why we need to hang on to it, because the PGA, I know, all these different things going on, with Live and whatnot. And, they're just trying to be very strategic. But I just think it's something different. There's something to be said about something different. And that's what this brings. And just the head-to-head competition, it's intense. And the fact, too, it's like, similar to the NCAA tournament. And really, I mean, it's almost the same thing other than, you go to the group play. But once you get to the final 16, it's the same exact thing. So it's just so cool that to get that in golf. I just think that's really awesome. So, I hope that this resurfaces. We'll keep an eye out for it, of course. And bring you whatever news we have regarding that. But I think it'll be a little bit before we know something definitive if we will have a match play tournament next year on Wednesday. In addition to our previews for this season, World Series champs, award winners. We also will preview the Valero Texas Open. So that is the warm-up tournament in TPC San Antonio.
Wow.
So
you going back to Texas?
No. So, it's kind of interesting too, because this tournament, I mean, a lot of guys want to prep for Augusta, but then also, you do have guys that also, just feel like, I want to play in another tournament. And a very interesting story here too. Ricky Fowler, just due to his world ranking, I think he's 59th in the world at this point, has to win this tournament to play in Augusta. So wouldn't that be something? And he definitely is at an advantage here. I'm just kind of quickly scrolling through here. I think Jordan Spieth plays here every year, but the who's who of the PGA Tour not exactly playing in this one. So a lot of the top names, sitting out. So I think that plays to his advantage, and he's played some good golf and had a decent run there, at the match play tournament. But I think, this is as good of a chance as he can have to return to the winner's circle.
You gonna take him?
I guess we'll find out on Wednesday, right? A little like tease there, Tony.
Wow,
yeah.
Tune in on Wednesday.
You better start doing your research right now.
Yeah,
dude. And before we wrap up here, I guess one more comment from Matthew.
Yes, he says wholeheartedly, you guys are the best. Right?
Appreciate you, bud.
Yeah, dude.
You're part of it too. And we can't wait to have you in here again. I mean, maybe, I guess, because he usually comes in on Friday, right? But
yes.
He here Friday? He wasn't here Friday.
This past Friday, he was not.
It was just you and Jay.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get you here this Friday, and obviously we'll be talking. I mean, he's got to be here because we're going to be recapping opening day.
Yeah,
how could he not be here? But speaking of that, once again, just so excited for the baseball season for the New York Yankees. They're just, the energy is just through the roof, and I know you feel the same way about the Mets. And obviously we're both dealing with a couple things going into the season, but we know it's a long run, and we can't overreact to stuff that happens before the season, stuff that happens in the first couple opening series, and that's what just makes it so great, and that's why it's the best sport in the world.
Yeah, easily.
But other than that, Tony, anything else you wanted to mention here on the way out?
Out the door here?
Got a couple videos that were just posted over the weekend, no? On the YouTube page? I guess there was
yes, another episode of DTV Reviews, actually. It's hot up there right now. It's actually pretty funny. We have few things sent to us from a fan out in Maine. So he sent us some Maine saltwater taffy and a famous Maine soda called Moxie. I don't know if you're familiar with either of those two. You a saltwater taffy guy?
Yes.
Really?
I don't have it much, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, no. So we reviewed it. Renee, Mike, and I did a blind taste testing for the saltwater taffy.
But you were looking through
to
the blindfolds.
see if we can guess.
Yeah. I know you got a kick out of reading that comment.
Oh, so funny. And then we reviewed Moxie soda, which was interesting. It was very fun, nice, light, wholehearted video out there review, 6 minutes long. So if you have, 6 minutes during your lunch break today, just give it a view, dude. It's a really good time. And of course, you know about Sportsport from Friday to
Screen time from Friday.
Screen time from Friday. You know, a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers trailer out there. Michael was hyped, dude. A couple reviews, and you know, Jay and Manny were in studio for that as well. So
Was he on the couch
great
with his
time.
helmet on?
Yes, he was on the couch with the helmet on, dude.
You really can't beat that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just so much to be excited about. It really is the best. And I forgot to ask you this before, just before we close up here. At the end of the day, and I don't know if you're gonna go, well, I guess you'll have to find out on Friday. Will UConn win the national championship?
Wow. I mean, yeah, I could say yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the most talented team.
I mean, if they get through Miami, I feel like it's.
Yeah, I mean, you're really gonna lose a national championship to Florida Atlantic.
I know, dude.
Crazy stuff. But that's why we said it's also great. But I would like to thank everybody for tuning in today. We really appreciate all the comments, the likes, the subscriptions, the shares. And I have to say, really missed everybody. Last week, missing Thursday and Friday, and it's great to be back. And there's a lot of good stuff on the way. So definitely everyone, spread the word. We're going to be bringing a lot of good stuff to you guys, and we really appreciate it. As well as, always check out all of our archives on the YouTube page, like our reviews, like all of our episodes of Sportsport, Screen Time, The Dream is Free, all of our vlogs. There's so much content out there. And I really encourage everyone to take a look at that, as well as the merch at downtimetv.com. Of course, the spring collection is here. We want everybody to enjoy their day, enjoy the games, and we will see you. Mania!
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.